So the
So those are
psychic
some
side is
extraordinary
problematic.
experiences. I've had experiences, and I know we're going long. I've had experiences with entities that wanted to talk to me, but mostly they were and forceful about it. But
Mm.
mostly they were missing persons that or a criminal case that wanted to be heard. And there was a time when I was so open, I had like just like anybody, I had to learn that control.
Right. Yeah.
And it was such a beacon that I felt like, other side was like, hey, if you need to give some information to a loved one, pop in on Lisa. She'll pass it along. It's almost like we set up an appointment. I'm fine. Like, not right now. But we can talk a little later, and you have to have that mutual respect.
Mhm.
And I'll pass along the message. And so I find, what you're doing just extraordinary.
Have you found, Hannah, that people are finding you, and do they always come to you with a problem, or do they just come to you like out of like a curiosity?
Yeah, actually, they come all kind of people, right? All kinds of people, and if for curiosity, they come as well, and you can come as for curiosity. The thing is that sometimes you will not receive the information that you're the memories.
I don't mean to talk over you, Hannah, but also you'd already mentioned like if the person's not ready, so if they could be curious, but if they have an allowance issue or they're not ready to have that experience and be healed, then not going to come through. So that makes total sense.
Yeah, exactly what you say, Elisa. Yes, and so they can tell you or they cannot tell you, depends of what your soul needs. They will always tell you what your soul needs in order to heal and then go level up. It's exactly what you're saying about the gorilla. The purpose of the Akashic records is to heal and then level up.
In some of the readings and sessions that I do, but I know, especially with like mediumship, it could be so life altering and changing. And definitely what you're doing is going to be life altering and life changing. It seems like it'd be really important for the person to be ready for this experience, or as ready as possible for it. So, but it sounds exciting.
So can we look at like recordings in the Akashic records about the future, or is it only a past index?
That's a good question. I never saw the future or asked for the future, but some of the really high level people of the reading Akashic records were, they said that they saw future also.
Oh, I've done remote viewing sessions on people, and it tells them who they should be with next and not like long term. So there's a shelf life when we tell somebody as a remote viewer, hey, you should be with this person. Maybe it's to learn a life lesson, and maybe someone's going to call me and say, why did you tell me to be with this guy? I got to get a restraining order out on him. Or remote viewing put you in that position to say what you needed at the time. And like it was good for you at the time, but in 6 months, in a year, you might have something that's better for you at the time. And I'd have to do a new remote viewing session on it. The right relationship is like a loaf of bread, right? You need to get new bread once in a while.
Yeah, I would say, the majority of people that come to me, it's either for work or relationship. It's those two.
Relationship, work, and health is what my primary requests are, and alien abductions are what my primary requests are from clients.
Yeah, I would say health too for me.
So that's an interesting diversion. Have you ever gotten like a abduction person come to you to try and find out what happened with their abduction experience? And is that in the Akashic records? Is that a track in there? Or is it do you know if it's in the Akashic records or not? ET abduction?
It is. Everything is there. Everything. They call your teachers, mentors, and also your loving. There is a word, but I don't remember. But it's people who were your family, and then they ask, and here in this planet, right? they ask what you want to do. So they decide to go in to be part of your growth and helping you out.
I had an interesting angel experience many years ago.
In another
Oh.
project I'm working on, I'm trying to talk to Archangel Michael about protection of dark entities and dark forces and see what they can do to, help bring in that protection for people, because there are a lot of stumbling blocks to the evolution and the ascension of your soul. Have you ever encountered anybody that didn't have, and Elisa, you can share in this too, that didn't have any soul people with them? Like maybe they're a new walk-in or a new soul.
Yes.
And they're just like, yeah, there's nobody here. I'm sorry.
I mean, the newer souls, like the baby souls, like you mean, like
Yeah.
they didn't have any. Yeah, there is. I didn't get yet with one, but in when you study, you find out that there is souls that are really new. Yes.
Elisa, can you share?
Well, just prior to that, you were talking about the angels, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we're going all over the place with this. I wanted to say that I've had people request from me who, if they have angels around them, what are the names of that angel? How can I call upon that? And I think we touched upon this the last time, like what's the best time of day to kind of initiate conversation or communication. And so that's, interesting and important. And then interacting with individuals, I always make sure that I have permission to view, I have permission to enter their energy, and that they understand that, I'm going to be providing them the information that energy wants them to receive, not necessarily what they want to know, but what they should know. And if anything comes from other side, and likewise, if there's any type of soul damage or soul issue, like you're mentioning, I will let them know. I did come across an individual who had dark energy in his crown. I've only seen this one time. And I have heavy energy on me right now just talking about it.
Oh.
And I mean, it was all just blacked out up on the top.
Wow.
And I, thought, okay, I need to proceed with caution in dealing with this individual. He'd seem, but yeah, I come across when I'm reading people, are they an augmented individual too? So,
So in remote viewing,
like we've gone way off.
well, I'll just say, since you mentioned an augmented individual, I came across one in a remote viewing session. I was looking for a Fabergé egg, and I didn't know what the target was. I was blind at the target, and I was doing my session, and I got this building, and then I got a being near the building, and I looked at the being, and they turned and looked at me. And this rarely happens in a remote viewing session. Like people don't have a cognizance of me there at the target if they're human, but if they're non-human, they do. And so I looked at what is different about this person, and they had this like augmented thing at the back of their head. And in my session, it later came out that they were a time traveler, bringing back to what you said too. And they were looking for this egg from somewhere in the future. And I don't know if it was like 200 or 300 or 400 years in the future, but they had some tech that they thought, okay, now we can go back and get it. And so it hasn't been found, but that was one of the only times I've been recognized.
In my experience, maybe it was you, Todd, coming back to look for this
egg.
Just found it.
I'd like to live 400, 500 years and come back and take a look at it. Yeah, get me one of those.
I don't want to live 500 years. You want to live?
Why not?
No, thank you. No, I'm already like way too out of my body. I like being more on the other side than here. It's nicer.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I don't want to take up your whole night, but I do want to thank you for being here and thank everybody for listening. It's been an honor to have you guys on the show and talk to you. I'd like to do this again sometime.
Yes, thank you, Todd. Thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you both.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Todd.
And thank you, Elisa. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Bye.
Bye, everybody.